Hello everyone, Kim Snyder from the API Guys. I have a demo for you today, tutorial about how to set up one of our plugins in multiple apps. We have had several requests for how to do this. So in case you don't know, the license under which we publish the Pocket Developer plugins is an open source license, and because we install, or more accurately, Pocket Developer installs and configures these on your server, you have the files, you have the right to, they're not encrypted, so you have the right to modify them, change them, tweak them, look at them, as well as use them on different servers and different apps if you so choose. And so I'm going to show you the process if you would like to copy and move these from one server to another, one app to another, how you would go about doing that. There is actually two ways to do this. Just so you know, I actually didn't mean to show you this. It's not really exactly ready for prime time, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. These are my notes for this demo, but I just did want to make this point that you can do two things here. One is you can take the files that you need for the plugin and you can copy them over to the second server and run it from there. The other option is to run it from your server. Now you'll have to make a different instance of it, but you can run it for multiple apps from your server. Now, as I've said here, there's pros and cons to each. The scenario here would be, if you're an Infusionsoft user, you're not a consultant. Perhaps you have multiple companies, multiple apps, different websites with different servers. You've bought some of our plugins and you want to use them on, more than one of those, which would be completely and totally reasonable. The second scenario is that you are a consultant or a developer of some type and you have purchased it and you want to use these plugins in your work to get something done that you couldn't do otherwise without hiring a coder to cut down on the time required to create the campaign or to maintain it, or what have you. So in either case you could go either way. Now, why would you choose one over the other? Well, so one reason why you might keep it on your server, for example, is that you either don't have the FTP credentials for another server, or your client doesn't know their FTP credentials, so it's just easier to run it from yours. That would be one scenario. Another positive to doing it that way is if you were the one that purchased the app and part of what you purchased was updates over some period of time, then when you got those updates, you can, it's just easier to update both. You don't have to go track them down on bunches of different servers. So it would make maintenance and updates easier, because while you have the right to move them, the updates and support only applies to the server that you originally purchased them on. Now, if let's say that you are moving it to a client site, one of the advantages of moving it rather than keeping it on your server is that if your server goes down, then they are down. You may not want that responsibility. Also, how long are they going to be a client? Is this a one-time short-term deal? You don't want them necessarily running off of your server. What happens if you want to change your domain, or you go out of business, or you want to move your server, and while you're moving your server it's going to be down for a period of time, and you basically, if you're running these plugins for a client off of your server, then you're kind of responsible for a long period of time of making sure that it works. So that's probably not a responsibility you want. So again, pros and cons to each, to decide which way you want to go. But you can do either one. I will show you both. What I'm going to do to begin with is I'm going to show you how to copy it over to a second server and or second app. And then I will also show you how you could run it straight from your server in a second instance. So here are the steps. Identify the files that we need to move, copy them either to a new folder within this path here, which I'll show you, or to a folder with the same path on their server. And then we're going to change the con.config.php file. To do that, you're going to need the app name that you're going to be using for this installation and also the API key. We are going to change the connection name in the index.php file, and then we'll test it and see how it all works. So with that, let's try it. So what we're going to do first, as I said, is we are going to identify the files that you need to move. So what I've got here, I'm a Mac, And I use a FTP client here called Transmit by Panic. They also make Coda, which is the text editor that I use. And Transmit allows me to put two servers side by side, so I can switch it. But right now what I've got is I've got the API guys here, and I've got another server where I want to move Train and Simple or on the right hand side. Like I said, I can switch it. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's do it like this. So I'm going to go to the API guys. Now, if this was your server, actually I'm going to do it a different way. This will make more sense. So this is my text editor that has an FTP client built into it. It is also made by Panic. It's called Coda, and it's the one I use. What I've got here on my left hand side is I have my desktop on my Mac, and here on the right hand side I have the public HTML folder. Now we're going to assume this is the server that you initially installed Pocket Developer on, and in which case when you go and pull it up in your FTP client, you will find a folder called scripts. That is where Pocket Developer puts its plugins. So it's in scripts, lowercase s, that's important, Pocket Developer, blocks, and then the one we're going to work with today is Custom Delay Timer. That's the free plugin that we give away on our site, and then we're going to assume that we want to move this to a client site or to a second server. So what I think is the easiest thing to do really is to just go into scripts, take this folder called Pocket Developer, and for now just drag the whole thing to your desktop and let it copy. It's just not that big of a file. I live in the country on a farm. I have really slow internet, and you'll see that even with my horrifically slow internet down here that it's almost finished downloading. And then what we're going to do is we are going to, let me pull up the server that we want to move this to, which is apidemo-demo.com. And what you're going to want to do, if it doesn't exist already, is you are going to want to create a new folder on apidemo.com, in my case called lowercase scripts. I did that, by the way, by just right-clicking to get new folder, and then I created a new folder called scripts. I double-click on that, and then now I'm going to take that Pocket Developer from my desktop, and I'm just going to drag it over here. Now, in your case, you may have bought multiple Pocket Developer plugins, like I've got a bunch here, or you really may only have just a single one. But let's just assume you had bought multiple, but you did not want to transfer all of them to the customer server. You really only wanted this one custom delay. You can see all of these there. It's finishing uploading. It's still working to upload all that to the server. It's about to finish here in just a moment. So what I would do is it's just easiest because it maintains all the paths and everything to, there it goes, it finished, to move everything over that you've got and then delete the things that you don't want on that client server. So now that we've got it all uploaded, I'm going to get rid of these things on apidemo.com because while I paid for them, I bought them, I don't want to put these all on the customer site. I only want this one. All right, so now in the blocks folder, I've got Custom Delay Timer, which is what I wanted. I've got these things moved. Now I need to edit them so that they will work on the new API server. So the way I'm going to do that is this. Let me get rid of this again for just a second. I am going to need my API key for the new server. Let me make sure I have that. Hopefully, hold on one second. I know you guys can't see my screen. Okay, I do have that. All right, perfect. So here's what we're going to do. Okay, bring this back over here. We are going to edit two things. We're back in the scripts folder on the apidemo.com. This is the new server. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to services. I'm going to go to Infusionsoft, and I'm going to find this con.config.php file. And I want to edit this. Now, here's what you want this to look like. I had actually done this previously. When you get here, this is what yours is likely going to look like, okay? This is your app name, this is my app name, okay? HFF89622. And then here's your app name again. Here's your API key. This, by the way, is not my real API key, but your API key goes here. And then again, this is for HFF 89622, Infusionsoft.com. You've got to be really careful that there are not spaces in here between these colons. Anywhere between these two quotation marks should be no spaces. And this is what it will probably look like the first time you log in to it. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to change this like this. We want to put the new app that you're using. We're going to assume this is your customer's app, okay? Not yours. You originally installed it on yours, but now you want to put it on your customers. And your customer or your second app is DFY 90994, and you want to put the key in for 90994, which is not that. Hang on one second. There it is. Okay. So API key for our sandbox DFY 90994. So this is, you've just changed all this. Now this is important. Okay. I'm going to save that. And that has now this config, we call this the connection file, all right, is now set up to work with your client's app, not yours. Now we have to go do something else. I'm going to back up here. I'm going to go back to Pocket Developer. I'm going to go to blocks. That is where the plugins are kept. I'm going to go to custom delay timer, and whatever, usually most of our plugins have a single file here. Sometimes they have multiples. What you want to do is each one of them that has a .php ending on it, you want to open it in your text editor, and generally somewhere right down here around line 26-ish, 25, 26 is going to be this line here, app name. And what you want to do is you want to change that again to the new app name, which is DFY 90994. Okay? It's a good idea, just to be on the safe side, to do a Control F find and just make sure that you don't find it anywhere else, 0, in this file. You shouldn't, but in case you installed this, a really early version of some of our plugins did have it in multiple places in the file. We've since changed that, but just in case, it doesn't hurt to just search, make sure you don't find any places where the old app name is in that file if you do change it, but you should really only find it in this one spot. And so you're going to save that. And now custom delay timer is set up to run on the customer's app and the customer server rather than yours. So I'm going to go ahead and, now this is api-demo.com. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, and we will run a quick test and see if this works. And then we will go over how you would run this from your own server. So hang on, let me get Campaign Builder set up and we'll run our little test. Okay, so here is our test campaign. Now we are, as you can see, in DFY 90994, which is the sandbox, and this is the campaign that I've set up to test that this works. This is going to fire from a tag called KimTest. I have created our custom delay timer with a delay of 10 seconds running from api-demo.com, scripts, Pocket Developer, blocks, custom delay, customdelay.php. We're going to delay for 10 seconds, and we have a call name of send now. Okay, so then once after the 10-second delay, what's going to happen is it is going to trigger this API goal called send now. All right, and then it's going to apply a note. And the note is going to say test was successful. That's the way we know it ran. Then it'll remove the KimTest tag. So let's go to one of the contacts in the sandbox. It is, as you can see, Election Day, November 4th. So it's probably fitting that we use one of our presidential contacts here. So I'm going to go to Bill Clinton, and I'm going to apply tags, and I'm going to apply that KimTest tag, and I'll say apply. So we will refresh and we'll go check. So first thing I'll do is let's look at the campaign and just see what happened here. So good, we can see that that all ran. Here's where we started by applying the tag. There we go. And then we had the 10-second delay. We applied the note and we removed the tag. So if we look, the tag should be gone, which it is, and there should now be a note which says test was successful. So we know that that all ran successfully. So that is great. So that works. Now the second issue was, all right, well, that's how we did it by moving it to the client's server. Now, what if we wanted to run it from ours? Now remember, here, let me go back to where I was here. We had this running initially on Train and Simple right here in scripts. This was the one that we had right here. This is where we copied it from initially. This block, this group of blocks right here. You can actually see what we're going to do here. We've done it with any text. So that is what we do. I have an example here as well for custom delay. So on our server, what we would do is, well, let me start again. We do a couple things. So instead of taking this Pocket Developer folder and copying it to our desktop, what I would do instead is I would duplicate that folder called custom delay. And I'm going to change the name of that to something that makes sense. Now, if you're going to do this for a lot of clients, then my recommendation would be to do something like Dreaded Dog, so that you knew this was her version, because you are going to have to modify it here. Maybe I don't want that. Maybe I'll just say something like that, Dreaded Dog, or company name, Gemini Farm, something like that. Something that makes sense who it's for. Okay, so I've got my copy. Just like I did before, okay, I'm going to have to go in here and change this to Gemini or Dreaded Dog or whoever's app name, just like I did before. Remember, this is on our server now, just in a different folder. The path name is slightly different. It's custom delay Gemini. That's okay. And then what I'm going to do also, I'm also going to modify this con.config file like I did before, but see what I've actually already done it here. What you do, let me just show you so you can kind of see better. You put a comma after your string here. This was my original server connection string. And then you duplicate the exact same string for your client, and just replace the app names and API key. And then let's imagine that then later I had a third client that I wanted to run an app for. And this client is, again, since it's election day, White House, right? And so we change these to White House, and we make this White House's API key, okay? And we could keep doing this in theory indefinitely for each one of our clients. And so, we'd just make another folder called custom delay White House, and change those. And that's how we would run. So for each client that we were running on our server, we'd need a connection string in our con.config file. And we would need a separate instance of the block, in this case, custom delay Gemini, with that app name filled into whichever connection name it was. Now, what we would then do over here in our campaign is, instead of running this from apidemo.com, if our original URL was trainandsimple.com, that's my site where I'm going to run it for the customer. Remember what we have here, instead of custom delay, this was custom delay Gemini. So we've changed the path to match this path right here, and that is how you would call this exact same script from your server from that particular file with that particular connection name in it. Hopefully that all made sense. So that's it. That is how now, just so you know, we are planning to come out with a pro version of Pocket Developer. The pro version will allow you to do a lot of things. It will keep up with updates for you. It will allow you to do all of this without having to do it manually, a lot of other things. For those of you that are comfortable moving files like this, this will get you going without needing to pay for a developer license or a seat license or anything else. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. As always, I'm happy to help in any way that I can. My contact information should be on the screen, kim@kimsnyder.com. You can also reach me on our Facebook groups. The name of our Facebook group is the Infusionsoft API Learners Group. We also have the API Guys Facebook page. So I would love to connect with any of you guys there as well. Let me know. Love to help out any way that I can. Hope that was helpful. Signing off for now, and happy campaign building.